Hello, and how you doing? And welcome back to Two Jagoffs. Wait, no, time out. Let's restart that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Commuters podcast. I am Austin Carnes, joined here Nicholas Brown is over there.
Yes.
We have a special guest here. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the first ever crossover episode of both Two Jagoffs and the Steel City Commuters podcast. I am joined here with the co-host of Steel City Commuters, Nicholas Brown, and we also joined here by a very, very special guest. He is the Dean of Communications here at Point Park University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bernie Ankney to the podcast. Bernie, it's so good to see you as always.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here today, guys.
Thank you so much. Nick, how's everything treating you over there? Finally get to see you again. You're not in New Kent on Zoom anymore.
Yes, we have a very special guest. We have to be here. Bernie, it's like we see you, but we don't really get to talk to you. But in person, it's like you're finally here. You actually exist.
Yeah, sometimes I will talk to people about being dean, and being dean is a busy, busy job because you oversee a school. You oversee a school with a lot of students, a lot of faculty, a lot of staff. And what I tell people, that means I work 24 hours a day because you never, ever know when you're going to get an email at 10 o'clock at night about a student who's in the hospital. So meeting and talking to you both today is a real privilege because during the school year, you're right. You see me a lot of times as I'm running through campus.
Yes.
Getting those steps in, huh?
Getting those steps in as fast as these 59-year-old legs can go.
Of course. Well, speaking of Point Park University, obviously I'm a rising senior. Nick over there is a rising sophomore here. So many students choose this route for dance, sports, so many other majors out there. What brought you here to Point Park University, though?
I grew up in Ligonier, Pennsylvania. So I grew up about an hour outside of Pittsburgh. And Point Park is a program I always looked at and said, it's really, really special. When I graduated from high school, I went to IUP. My family was not loaded with money, so going to a state school was really the only option. Point Park did recruit me, and I would have loved to have gone there, but it just didn't work financially. Graduated IUP and went to Washington, D.C., where I was a reporter covering medicine, science, technology, for 5 years, and then moved back to Western Pennsylvania again. Worked in Johnstown, Pennsylvania with the Conemaugh Health System, and actually had 2 jobs there. I worked for the hospital in a communication public relations role, but I also started my magazine. After that, I went to Syracuse for a master's, North Carolina, Chapel Hill for my doctorate. After I graduated North Carolina, spent 2 years at Temple as a faculty member, then 4 years at IUP, and then in 2006 got really, really brave, went to Birmingham, Alabama, and Samford University. And one of my students at Samford is well known to Steeler fans, and that is Duck Hodges.
Oh, Devlin Hodges.
Yes.
And I had Duck Hodges in class. The first thing is he's about my height, maybe an inch higher. So it's kind of funny to see an NFL player with my height. And one day I went down to where Sanford football was practicing. And here's how accurate Duck Hodges was as a quarterback. He'd stand on the 10-yard line. There was a barrel in the back of the end zone. And he would hit like 18 out of 20 alley-oops to the back of the end zone.
Pretty
I mean,
impressive.
it was just incredible. And the ones he missed hit off the top of the barrel. I'd be lucky if I hit the barrel one time.
Yeah, right.
But in 2019, the Point Park job opened up, and I was super excited. I had been chair of journalism and mass communication at Sanford for 13 years. Being a Western PA kid, always respecting and admiring Point Park alums like Greg Brown and Bob Pompiani, I decided to apply and was just honored to be chosen as the dean.
Can you talk about your magazine and what led up to it? Did you want your magazine to continue today? Did you ever envision maybe if you ever left Point Park to bring back your magazine to get back into the age of journalism given where we're at today?
So I created my magazine. It probably would have been 93, 94, which was a very different time. Magazines and newspapers were much more widely read then. And my magazine covered medicine, healthcare for Western Pennsylvania. And we made a little bit of money every month. I wasn't getting rich. It was a magazine based out of my apartment and later house, but we were making maybe $1,000 each month. So it was make a little bit of money. It was a good hobby. But eventually another magazine moved into my territory, which was covering medicine and healthcare for all of Pennsylvania, and I simply couldn't compete. They had much deeper pockets than I did, so I just shut my magazine down. I not that I would ever rule out writing for a magazine again, but being a publisher and starting one, I think I'm too old to do that. That's a lot of work and a lot of stress, and not sure I would be able to do it with my job as dean.
Well, we're here too, so we can always help bring back your magazine as well.
There you go.
We could possibly do that. Well, you were talking about how so many different experiences you had to get to Point Park University, and that's something that I know you've told, and so many others here at Point Park has told all of us as students. Like, you got to make the connections. You got to be able to put yourself out there. Networking is key in any business, especially what both of us want to get into. What were some of the connections that you made early on, and who was some of your mentors that helped you along the way?
When I went to Washington, D.C., my first job was for a publication called Status Report. And it covered highway safety and technology. May not have been the most interesting subject matter, but my editor there was a person by the name of James H. Mooney. Just so happens Mr. Mooney grew up in Western Pennsylvania. He was a Pittsburgh kid, so we had an immediate connection there. He graduated from Duquesne and worked for the Pittsburgh Press when Pittsburgh was a two-newspaper town. And he worked alongside Myron Cope, for example. A lot of people don't realize Myron was an outstanding print journalist. So Mr. Mooney was just invaluable as a friend, as a mentor. He actually was my partner when I started the magazine. So he was huge to me becoming a writer, a reporter, an editor, just a fabulous person who invested in his coworkers all the time. I like to think that I follow some of the things that Mr. Mooney encouraged in me. And when he and I talked, the importance of doing 2 or 3 internships. And every student I meet with, I talk to about first internship after your sophomore year, second after your junior year, third one during your senior year. Take advantage, if you're a sports student, for example, take advantage of the Pitt Studio opportunity. Take advantage of the fact that you can walk to 4 professional sports teams in under 20 minutes. So that's my commitment. And the great thing is, when I started, Heather Starr-Fiedler oversees internships for the School of Communication, and she has that same passion. She wants everybody leaving here with 3 internships. And I think when you come to Point Park and you do 3 internships, but there's a second thing that's really, really different about our program that I'm not sure everybody appreciates. When I taught at Temple, if you go to Temple and you think, hey, I'm going to work for the TV station my first year, I'm going to work for athletics my first year, good luck. It's not going to happen. And when you come to Point Park, you're involved with UView or Point Park Athletics or the Globe within a week or 2 weeks of coming to campus. And what I tell students is 4 years of student media is 1 year experience, 3 internships is 2 years experience. That's why when students leave here, they're far more employable than students from other programs.
They also got so much more experience too, just by being so early involved, participating in all these different programs, all these different clubs. I mean, it's pretty much stacking your resume just immediately. I want to talk about some of those clubs too. We have the Globe, UView, WPPJ is another, the Sports Comm Club. There's so many different programs that students can get involved in. I know there's a lot of students that's probably out there listening that is just entering Point Park or is thinking of entering Point Park University. In terms of those sports comm students, what advice would you give to them, and why should they want to come to Point Park and pursue this?
You can get involved with Point Park Athletics and Sports Club within days of coming to campus. So let's say you're living in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Your family moves you in at Point Park in August. Within a week, you're helping with a Mountain East broadcast.
It's crazy.
Those opportunities don't exist elsewhere. And when I talk to students in high school, they usually come here being good at one thing. They took photos in high school, or they shot videos, or they help with social media, or maybe they did a little sideline reporting. Our program does all of those things. So when you come here as a sports photographer, I'm going to nudge you to be a sports videographer pretty soon. And then I'm going to say, let's do a little bit of sideline reporting. And then let's do color. And let's do play-by-play, because over time, your skill set becomes far more diverse. And my former students who are working in the NFL or NHL or Major League Baseball or soccer, you never ever know what that first job is going to be. One of the students I'm so proud of was one of my Sanford students, and that's Levi Edwards, who works for the Las Vegas Raiders. And when I had Levi at Sanford, he was a print journalism student. He also did broadcast journalism. Well, when the Raiders hired him, they wanted him to do some photos, some videos for social media. And because he had a diverse skill set, he was hired. And then over time with the Raiders, you see him doing podcasts. You see him interviewing players. So you never, ever know what that first job's going to be. So I want you prepared for every job in professional sports, every job in college, because the job you're hired for may not be the job you're doing in a year or 2 years.
I think, too, the internships, too, is also important, especially we have so many different TV networks around, and building the connections is always viable. Do you think maybe even freshman year you should get your foot in the door and get the internship started?
There's a balance to strike here, and that is you want to make sure you're prepared for that first internship. And there are some students, such as yourself, who have a very strong broadcast background, and coming to Point Park, you could do an internship during your first year. But there are also some kids who are coming from small towns in Indiana County, and they graduated with 50 kids. They didn't have a radio station. They didn't have a TV station. So coming here is a big adjustment, and it takes 2 years to build up their skills to the level that they are in a position to succeed. Because I don't want you going to KDKA if you're not quite ready, because the internship isn't going to work out. You're going to feel like I was put in a position to fail, and the TV station's going to say, wait, you're not ready. So I think there's a balance to be struck there. There are some students who can do an internship as a first-year student and thrive, and I will tell students, do one. You don't have to do it for credit, but do it, get a great experience. The second thing you have to consider is this. If you're doing that internship during your first year, don't let it pull you away from Point Park student media and clubs. So if you're doing an internship with a radio station, but it's keeping you from Mountain East live streams and UView and WPPJ, I'm not sure it's helping you. So there are a lot of things to be considered. I generally recommend after your sophomore year, because I know your skills are ready by then. Maybe after your freshman year, if you've gotten a lot of student media experience and you did it in high schools. But that's just a concern I sometimes have.
So we've had Levi Edwards, Greg Brown, Bob, so many different notable names that's in the Pittsburgh area and just across the nation overall as a whole. What's it like now working with them? Because we've seen them give back so many different times to the school. We've seen Greg Brown and do stuff here. We've seen Bob. We've seen so many different former Point Park alumni give back to the university on which they once went to. What's it been like as the dean working with these guys now that they're settled in their careers?
It's really, really incredible. So I worked with Bob Pompiani last year to create the Bob Pompiani Broadcast Award. So last year we created a high school broadcast competition where high school students and the advisors get to work on their shows in September and October and November, submit their best show to us in early December, and then come in the spring to compete with other TV stations for the best high school broadcast. And last year, Penn Trafford, which has a phenomenal program, won. But I'm really grateful for Bob working with us because not only does it promote broadcasting in Western Pennsylvania, when you see another high school coming down to Point Park and competing for an award like that, it encourages every high school to do a little better. You get to see what other people are doing. You get to look at how you can improve your show. So we think that's a really valuable partnership. We're partnering with Greg this summer for a high school sports broadcasting camp.
Yes.
And this is designed for 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old students to come to Point Park and to learn broadcasting from Greg Brown, who may be the nicest man.
Oh, he's so nice.
Yes.
He's just an incredible person. He put together a first-rate summer camp, and you're going to get to go to PNC. You're going to get to meet industry leaders. You're going to get to do play-by-play and color and have Greg offer his perspective on how you did. Just imagine you're 14 or 15 and you want to go into professional sports. So I am unbelievably grateful for the Point Park alumni who continue to invest in the students and in the program.
And the Point Park alumni has done such a good job at being able to pay that forward. Because I've had the chance to speak with Greg Brown several times, even went out to grab a coffee with him, and he's always been so nice and so down to earth. And I would even extend an olive branch and say it's not even just the former Point Park alumni, it's so many others in the sports industry, in the sports media, in the sports reporting. Here on Two Jagoffs, I've actually interviewed so many different guests, Hillgrove, Getzoff, King, and every single one of them paid it forward. I guess my next question to you would be, have you ever had a chance to work with any of these other broadcasters who may not be former Point Park alumni, and what contributions have they gave back to Point Park?
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. Andrew Stockey is another phenomenal human being.
Shout out to Andrew.
And before I came today, he and I were talking about an opportunity he has for Point Park students at WTIE to help this fall. And I'm excited. I can't say anything more than that, but I'm really, really excited about it. Every time I've asked Andrew to do something at Point Park, the answer is always yes. When we had a Myron Cope Day at Point Park a few years ago to talk about Myron Cope, to talk about the Myron Cope Scholarship, to talk about everything Myron had done for Pittsburgh sports broadcasting, Andrew immediately said, he's my friend. I want to support the next generation of sports broadcasters. I want to help Point Park, and he came right down. 2 years ago, we created the Myron Cope High School Athletic Communication Awards, and I've just been overwhelmed. So when I came back to Western PA, what I saw was there are some high schools who are really doing neat things with high school sports communication. Some of it is sports photography, sports videography, sports play-by-play. So what we decided was to create the Cope competition. So you can compete for the best sports photo as a high school student.
So there's all these different high schools competing?
Yeah, so
so
last
cool.
year we had 100 people entered the Cope competition last year.
Wow.
Some of them were for sports website, sports social media, sports video, sports play-by-play. And our Cope winners were even recognized by the PIAA during the baseball championship this year. So some of the winners could go down to the baseball championship. They were called out on the field, and our Cope winners were recognized. So I was really pleased with the PIAA, which has been a great partner with the Cope competition. But what we saw from year 1 to year 2 in the Cope Awards, we went from like 25 to 30 entries year 1 to about 100 year 2, and we got entries from Philadelphia in the Harrisburg region.
That's good.
So it's becoming this statewide competition, and people are looking at what's Franklin Regional doing, what's Norwin doing, what's Upper St. Clair doing, what's Baldwin doing, and they're improving because they're seeing what others are doing. So I think that's really important.
Is this going to happen every year?
Absolutely.
And we're going to have it at Point Park every year, right? The competition.
Every year.
We're going to have to go check that out. I think
Yeah.
that's, and it even gives an opportunity for smaller schools, because I came from a small high school where we started a newspaper. I think it was our junior year. I put the suggestion and we got it kicked off the ground, and we really don't have much of we can't really do what UView does or have our radio, but the newspaper, I think, gets a lot of opportunities. You can, because you have to interview. It shows the interview skills, the photography. You have to kind of build your own newspaper and build your own section. I feel like that also gives a small school opportunity. And what's the ratio, would you say, to small schools to big schools that are applied? Do small schools get that opportunity?
Small schools, I went to Ligonier. So you don't have the same opportunity at Ligonier. You can shoot some photos, maybe shoot some videos for the website, but you're not going to have the same opportunity at a place like Penn Trafford, which just has a really first-rate
it's enormous.
facilities, technology. It's just incredible how strong the program is. But the small schools really are making an effort. And one last thing about Cope, last year at the award ceremony, we had more than 100 people here. Wow. High school students, we had teachers there. Well, they were shaking Mike DeCourcy's hand. And Mike DeCourcy is a Point Park alum who's worked for the Sporting News, who works for the Big Ten basketball broadcast, just an industry leader. Mike's an incredible guy, and to talk to him and hear about his career and how Point Park put him on a path, and we had Bob Pompiani there.
Yeah.
And we had Andrew Stockey there. So not only did you get to compete with other high school students, you got to meet Pittsburgh industry leaders. So just an incredible ceremony. And I'd love to have both of you at next year's award ceremony.
Ooh,
Thanks for the invite. We're going to have to come now.
Reservation has been made.
Yes. I mean,
it.
what can you talk about? Because I think the media in this industry is very fragile, especially working for one company and trying to build your connection with a rivalry. Can you talk about some of them connections and how you want to build your connections to be solid, but also not, burn the bridge?
Yeah. The first thing with networking, in my opinion, and I think I met with you as a high school student.
Yes.
And I remember meeting with you and talking about you transferring to Point Park.
Yep.
And when I met with both of you, the first thing I said was, where does your LinkedIn account stand?
Yes, that was the first question.
We talked about LinkedIn and how you have to start building your network while you're still in high school. If you're interested in sports communication, well, have you connected with Bob? Have you connected with Andrew?
Yep.
Have you
Yes.
connected with everybody in Western Pennsylvania? Then when you come to Point Park and Andrew comes to your class, you talk to him. You send him a note thanking him. And you send Mike DeCourcy a note saying, hey, I know you're a Point Park alum. I know you're living in the region. Could we meet for coffee and talk about how I can work for the Sporting News? I think when you network appropriately, it kind of there will always be competition between WTAE and KDKA. But if you came to our Cope Awards last year, you saw Andrew and Bob talking and joking and just having a great time. There's friendly competition, but you can always work for both of them. You can always do internships for both of them. So I would tell you, don't let the fact that two TV stations or two newspapers are competing keep you from working for both of them. You do sometimes need to talk to your internship supervisor and find out what the rules are, or if you're doing part-time work, see what the rules are. But as long as they are comfortable with it, I'd tell you go for it.
That's a good point you bring up too, because I've been doing a lot of stuff on the independent circuit with wrestling. Yeah. And it's the same kind of thing. There's tribalism, where if you work for one company and then you put your foot in the door in another, you may get some backlash for it afterwards. Or if you're doing work for one person and then all of a sudden do work for another, they may have some hard feelings about it. So I could definitely see that, and I could definitely see those ties there. I guess one final question before we move into the sports section. Mm-hmm. When you're making these connections and you're building that LinkedIn, the advice you gave was great, because I think both me and Nick took that ball and rolled with it, because both of our LinkedIns have been booming ever since. Why is the social media aspect so important for students out there? Both me and Nick understand it, but a lot of students really don't understand why you should have a Facebook, a LinkedIn, even an Instagram, and utilize it to your fullest potential. Why should students be doing that?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, and I'm going to date myself with how darn old I am, but when I was looking for a job in 1987, when I graduated from IUP, newspapers were critically important. And there were help wanted ads, and you would go to the newspaper and you would kind of cut out or rip out every job you plan to apply for. There was nothing like the World Wide Web, the internet, social media. So newspapers were 100% dominant in your job search. That's where your job search began. You looked at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and you would see different journalism jobs in the region, and you would type up your materials and you would apply for them. If you did that today, you would be living with your parents for a very long time because newspapers don't have a lot of help wanted ads anymore. Those ads are on Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
For example, they are online. So building up your social media is critical. Let's start with LinkedIn. I really believe LinkedIn is the key way the Point Park students are getting part-time jobs while they're at college, internships, and jobs after graduation. There's just so much on there, jobs locally, jobs regionally, jobs nationally, so you need to be active. But the second part of what you just said is really, really critical, Austin, and that is you need to be pushing your content out there. People need to see it. I know a key reason why Levi ended up with the Raiders is because his content was on YouTube. It was on social media. People saw it. They looked at it. They said, wow, this is a really talented young person. So I think you need to think about, where can I market my content? YouTube, if you're interested in sports or broadcasting, is critical. You need to make it easy for TV stations, colleges, minor league teams, professional teams to find you. I think there's a role for Facebook. Okay, my kids laugh at me about it, but the people who are hiring you probably still are on Facebook.
Yep.
And if they see your material on there, there's no downside to being on Facebook and putting your material on there.
Not at all.
People see it, they review it, and when they have an opening, they are going to reach out to you. I think there's a role for Twitter and TikTok and Instagram. So I think part of the discussion and thought process for an 18 or 19-year-old is really thinking about, where should I be active on social media based on where I want to go? Where is the return on investment? Because you can't do all of them.
Right.
So where can you focus?
Where can you focus is the biggest key, and I'll even throw another one out there. The algorithm is big. Being able to get yourself in the algorithm. With my sake, it's more of podcasting and like little short reels, little short clips, and then longer form content that me and Nick does with Steel City. So being able to post that out there and make it accessible is really key. And I'll tell you what, I was, because we're all naming high schools earlier. I'll name mine too. I went to Carlington. It's also a smaller school. And there wasn't really those opportunities to be able to do that stuff. And since I was the shy and quiet, reserved kid, I never really put any of that stuff out there because I wanted to keep to myself. But once I got here, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is the only way this guy's going to see it from this company or this guy's going to see it from this industry. You got to put it out there. And it makes it so much easier, too, because you get more confidence in yourself.
You do, and people laugh when they say this. When I was in high school, I was the shyest kid possible. Barely made eye contact. When I went to IUP, I wouldn't talk in class. I wouldn't put my hand up.
Sounds like me.
And it really, really put me in a position that when I was applying for my first reporting job, it was hard because I didn't appear to have the confidence needed to succeed. So part of the infrastructure we've put in place in high school or at Point Park is for that high school student who maybe came from a small school or maybe was kind of shy in high school, because it's hard to be shy and quiet in the school comm at Point Park.
Yes.
We try to draw you out as much as we can, get you involved. And let's say you're doing a live stream for the Mountain East and you have a bad day. Every broadcaster will tell you stories about things they've said or broadcasts they've done, and they shake their head. Or when I do a podcast or when I do an interview, there are times I'll be looking at myself later and thinking I had too many coffees or I didn't understand the question or I need to sleep more. I mean, we all have bad days.
I do that all the time, it feels like.
Oh, we know over there.
Oh, don't start over there. We've been good for 30 minutes. Don't start.
I have to now. I feel like I've been holding back a little bit.
But that's part of it. You start making a lot of mistakes, and then you go, and then you make a few mistakes, and then you just keep improving.
Oh, yeah, this podcast, lots of mistakes happen daily as we record.
Yeah, it does. And I can tell you what, Bernie, there was some times where I would go back and watch some old broadcasts in the Mountain East Conference, and I might have mispronounced a name or said somebody. It happens.
It happens.
It happens all the time.
When you are doing a live broadcast, one of my buddies, I'll give a shout out to my friend Tim Caldwell. He's from Ligonier, and he was a football player at Bucknell. And during his senior year, he decided it's time for me to quit, and he became a color analyst for Bucknell. And he did that for a few years after graduation. And occasionally I'd make fun of Tim because when you're doing a 3-hour broadcast, you're going to say something stupid because you have time to fill.
Yep.
And I remember one time Tim and I were watching a football game, and the color analyst said, turnovers are bad. And we just started laughing because, of course, in the NFL, turnovers are bad. And then Tim's like, wait a second, you do have to give them a little bit of leeway because 3 hours of time, you're just going to say something that...
You're just going to say what comes on to mind.
Yeah, it's going to come to mind, and all your friends are going to mock you.
That's hilarious. I want to talk about some sports now, Bernie. So you're from Pittsburgh as well. What are your go-to sports teams? Are you like big in the football, big in the hockey, big in the baseball? Like, what are you really into?
Growing up in Ligonier, my first sport that I loved was baseball.
Okay.
I played baseball for a person who was like 5 feet tall and under 100 pounds in 9th grade. I could still play baseball. And football, I would have gotten killed. My life expectancy would have dramatically shortened. So I grew up listening to the Pirates of Willie Stargell and Dave Parker, the 1970s teams that won a 1971 World Series, a 1979 World Series. So I think baseball was the first sport I truly loved, and Pittsburgh just had such a phenomenal tradition in the 1970s of winning team after winning team. Football was my second sport that I really appreciated. The Steelers of the 70s won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, and I grew up thinking that's how it worked. You win a Super Bowl every year. Not so much, but the 1970s, Bradshaw and Harris and Swan and Stallworth and Jack Lambert and so many Hall of Famers. The third sport that I came late to was the Penguins. The Penguins were so horrible for so long So 1970s, 1980s, it was just hockey season would start and the Penguins would be really bad. And then they drafted someone who is actually 1 month younger than me, and that's Mario Lemieux, who
Legend.
I was born August 1st, 1965, and I'm pretty sure his birthday is September 1st, 1965. And Mario Lemieux was drafted, and all of a sudden Pittsburgh had a superstar and built a very, very strong team and started competing for Stanley Cups and then winning Stanley Cups. So started with baseball, soon added football, and later hockey. And the great thing about growing up in Western Pennsylvania is just what an incredible tradition of sports.
So how often do you keep up with these major sports teams? Do you still keep up pretty regularly with the Pirates, Penguins, and Steelers?
I do my best. As I say, I have a busy life. And this busy life consists of being dean of a school of communication.
Yep.
And it really is a 50, 60-hour a week job every single week. And sometimes it's much longer than that during busy times. And my wife has grown to appreciate that I'm on call 24 hours because I've gotten text of student emergencies at 9 o'clock at night. Faculty emergencies, maybe we have a kid at Point Park and needs to have his appendix out and his family's from Iowa. Well, guess what? There's a little bit of help needed and support needed. So number one, I have a busy job. Then I have 3 kids, and those 3 kids challenge me every single day, and they have time and needs and things like my youngest Luke is a student athlete going to Gannon this fall to wrestle, so try to support Luke as a student athlete. My son Dominic works for Bob Nutting, the Pirates owner, for the beverage side of the house as an accountant, so need to be there for Dominic. I also celebrated my 31st anniversary a couple days ago.
Which happy belated anniversary.
Yes, happy
by the
belated
way.
anniversary.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate that.
And your birthday's coming up. Big birthday celebration, I heard.
Everybody better comment down below. Happy birthday, Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie, big.
Yeah, I'm going to turn 60 here in a
Big
couple
60.
weeks. I'm not liking that a whole lot.
We got to throw a
but,
party here at Point Park.
Yes, right?
I'm not liking that a whole lot.
You're not a party guy?
I don't want to turn 60, but the last thing is, and students and coworkers mock me, I play in a 55 and older softball league, and I also manage. And last night I was playing a softball game, and tonight I'll be playing, or tomorrow I'll be playing a softball game. And I spent my 31st anniversary managing my softball team.
And Wendy's still with you now.
Wendy's still with me. So
I was going to say, Bernie, speaking of sports, because this whole Pittsburgh side of sports is just a disaster, and we have to break this down. Let's just start with the Pirates. Because of Don Kelly being the head coach now and being the manager of everything with the Pirates.
Former Point Park alumni.
Former Point Park alumni. What the hell's going on over there? It's a disaster to watch.
Well, since my son works for Mr. Nutting's beverage business, and since my job requires me to work with the Pirates on a daily basis, I'll give the answer as dean and not as fan here.
Okay, that's fair enough.
A huge disadvantage to small market franchises is it is nearly impossible for Pittsburgh or Tampa Bay to compete when someone has a $300 million payroll and the Pirates have an $85, $87 million payroll, because the Pirates have a very, very hard time putting a roster on the field like the Dodgers do. Every major free agent Los Angeles is going to go after. Ohtani, for example, there's zero chance Ohtani was coming to Pittsburgh.
Right.
And then the second thing is, and it's disappointing, you look at the great Pirate teams of the 70s, The 70s would not have happened with the business model of today. Willie Stargell would have left after 6 years. Dave Parker would have left after 6 years. And I really, really think it's unfortunate that baseball continues to have a market and a business model where large market teams can compete if they want to every single year, unless they're horribly run. You could put me in charge of the Dodgers, and I am very confident they would be a playoff team every single year if you can spend and pursue whoever you want. So the Pirates are way behind because baseball doesn't have revenue sharing of local TV dollars. And when Los Angeles is getting $200 or $300 million per year
Yes.
in local
yeah.
dollars,
Ridiculous.
and the Pirates are getting a fraction of that, that's where the payroll discrepancy comes from. I'd love to see baseball have a salary floor, a salary cap, because the franchises that do that, NHL just did it. The NHL's thriving. You have teams competing every year. Games are interesting. You don't start the year by, there's no way this team's going to make the playoffs. Basketball does it. NFL does it. So I think the first thing with the Pirates is that. The second thing is the Pirates have made mistakes. When you are a small market team, you need to get everything right.
Yes.
And they have not. I would tell you, I think the general manager, Ben Cherington, does a very, very good job in scouting pitchers and drafting pitchers. Players, position players, not so much.
Exactly.
You have to look at the Pirates now, and the only really great hitting prospect is in A-ball. Last year's first-round choice. Okay? But they don't have strong hitters at Double-A or Triple-A. And there's nobody at Triple-A you could say, wow, this person could turn over the lineup.
And I'll tell you what, Paul Skeens, too. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the whole MLB right now. I don't know how they're going to pay that man once it comes time, because you know he's going to get a max contract, and there's just no way the Pirates will be able to afford that.
Well, they take him out after 75 pitches, and he's having an amazing game. I just don't understand, because Andrew McCutchen's back, and everybody thought he was going to try and provide some kind of spark. He's sparking a little bit, but I don't even know if the Pirates are going to break 500 this year.
No, I thought the Pirates could get to 500 a game over. I don't see a way they do that. And if I had to guess, the Pirates will again sell. And they'll lose Bednar, okay? And Bednar, being a local kid, it'll struggle. What they desperately need are young, controllable bats, and they don't have it. And they'll sell again this year, but there's not a lot of help in AAA, and baseball's draft is a little trickier. How many elite college hitters go directly to the majors? It's pretty rare. Even if you draft someone who's 21 years old, having a lot of success at Florida, a major, or Vanderbilt, major baseball powers, it's going to take a year or 2 years for that person to be successful in the major leagues. So the draft's coming up for the Pirates, and I think they might go with a college player. But even if they draft the best college bat, I wouldn't count on short-term help.
We can only hope. We can only hope we get somebody.
You try.
We could try. It's the Pirates. But I'll ask you this, Bernie. So moving from one Pittsburgh team to another, Pirates to the Steelers for a second. One of the biggest headlines over the last couple weeks, which we both covered, I covered on 2 Jagoffs, was the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. Will Rodgers be the quarterback? Will Rodgers not be the quarterback? I guess without going into too much detail, what's your initial thought on that? What's your thought on Rodgers? The size says it all.
Aaron Rodgers, describing him as a drama queen is an understatement.
Okay.
I mean, he just likes the attention.
He does.
And his personal life is about attention. And going on the Pat McAfee show is about attention. And Aaron Rodgers at age 41, the best hope in my mind is he's an above average quarterback. Okay, that's kind of best hope. But he had a major injury. He is not anywhere near as mobile as he once was. I think he still has a pretty strong throwing arm, but when you're 41 and you get hit and when you're 31 and you get hit, that's a difference. So will he be able to last the whole season? I'm not so sure. Do I think he's an improvement over the quarterbacks they had last year on the roster? Yes. But I really think the best case scenario is the Steelers win 10 games with him this year.
Okay.
If he stays healthy and if he plays well. There are lots of ifs in that sentence.
A lot of ifs, and it seems like a lot of people are projecting, whether it's Rodgers, whether it's Rudolph, the same result. Like they're saying, well, they'll get 9 to 10 wins, they'll still make the playoffs barely, and then they'll be first-round exits. And that's been the common theme for such a long time. And I don't know, like I don't see them going any further because you got the Ravens, much better. You got the Bengals, much better. And then the Steelers, they're just settling for little. Nick,
well, then you have the Cowboys that are just like astronomically ready to go, Bernie. I mean, better than those Cardinals over there at least.
The Cowboys have struggled. I will have to sit here and think of their last Super Bowl appearance.
Thank you, Bernie. He's a Cowboys fan. Thinking they're going to
Same with the Cardinals.
I know the Cardinals suck, though. You think the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl.
They have Dak Prescott. They have George Pickens. You know, they're just lining the airwaves now.
They may be a game better than the Steelers this year. I'm not sure the Super Bowl tickets should be printed yet, but
Oh, darn.
I hate to make that joke, but no, the Steelers are in a tough spot because in the NFL, having a franchise quarterback is key. And if you look at the teams that are in the Super Bowl every year, the Chiefs,
Yes.
they have Patrick Mahomes, who's special, and he's a franchise quarterback. The Bills have been close to the Super Bowl. They have Josh Allen.
He just falls short every year.
Yeah, he does. But having a franchise quarterback and not having one, when the Steelers had Ben, when they had Bradshaw, they were in Super Bowls.
They were in Super Bowls, all right.
Yeah.
When they don't have them, they are not.
What do you make of the Steelers players that they have drafted? DK Metcalf, you know, all of the players that are going to trying to provide support. I mean, wide receiver is going to be an issue. You know, if you look at all things, you have TJ Watt. He has some contract negotiation disputing right now. If we don't even know if it's going to get resolved, he may end up going to another team. There's a lot of heartaches coming this season. How do they try and get out of the slump that they've been in to kind of overcome them and to actually make it an exciting season?
The hardest thing in the NFL is when you're stuck in the middle, and that's you have 6, 7, 8, 9 wins. And I think it's really impressive that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. At the same time, Pittsburgh's in a little bit of a Super Bowl drought.
Yes.
And getting from 9 wins to the Super Bowl, the only way that's going to happen is a franchise quarterback, and they don't have one. Well, they have loaded up with draft picks for next year, and the NFL draft is in Pittsburgh next year. So I'm pretty sure that they will be very aggressive in trading up next year, and I'm also pretty sure it's a strong quarterback draft. So maybe they get their franchise quarterback. But if you look at an NFL roster, Steelers have a good defense. I'm not sure it's a great defense, but it's a good defense.
Solid.
Yeah, solid.
Special teams, I think they're solid again. Offense, pretty good young line. They could use another receiver. I think they have strong tight ends and running backs, but a strong tight end is not going to get you to a Super Bowl.
No.
A strong right guard is not going
No.
to get you to a Super Bowl. It takes a franchise quarterback. Until they have one, I think they're going to be stuck in that 8, 9, maybe 10 win kind of every season.
Certainly it does, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of college next year. I mean, all across SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. I've seen quarterbacks for days. It'll probably be about, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 5 quarterbacks go in the first round again. And I feel like you read my mind, Bernie, because I was actually just about to ask you about the NFL draft. It is coming to Pittsburgh next year, and I just want to know what your thoughts is on that. As we're all live in Pittsburgh. Point Park University's here in Pittsburgh. What does the NFL draft coming to Pittsburgh mean to all of us?
So when I was younger, the NFL draft would be in New York every year.
Yeah.
And you would watch it. And it was kind of funny because Jet fans would boo their first round pick every single year. But you saw the NFL draft getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I can't remember how many years ago the NFL started to have drafts in different cities. And my understanding of the history, it was done, prior, but the NFL draft in the 1960s was not the same thing as the NFL draft in 2025. So there started to be rumors about 2 years ago the NFL draft was coming to Pittsburgh. And I heard them and I'm like, please, please, please happen, because millions of people will come to downtown Pittsburgh. Huge opportunities for our sports students, our broadcast students. So when I heard the NFL draft was confirmed for Pittsburgh, I was ecstatic. First, as a Steeler fan, having the draft in Pittsburgh and being to go and see some of the events. What an incredible opportunity. And I can't wait to see downtown Pittsburgh and the planning and the event, because I know the city's going to do it first rate. It's going to be an incredible opportunity for sports fans. It's going to be an incredible opportunity for people from Western Pennsylvania. I remember growing up and going to watch the Steelers at training camp. This is like training camp on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
This is just something that you've watched, you've seen, and now you get to be part of it. And I do think it's going to be a year where the Steelers change the direction of the franchise by looking at a quarterback. So that's exciting. And then I think the final thing is, boy, I can't wait to see the opportunities and the work Point Park students will do for the draft to make it successful.
I worry about downtown for the draft. I have a lot of concerns. I'm just not sure that Pittsburgh is ready, given the state of downtown right now. It's a total disaster down here, and we're gonna have an election, and we're gonna have a new administration. Are they gonna be able to get together between November and when this happens in April to actually get the state of downtown in the shape of where it should be if we're gonna have 700,000 some people?
I would say I have no concerns over that. I really, really don't. If you've looked at other cities that have held the draft, it looks like this could never happen. We need to do these 50 things. We have all this preparation, but the NFL knows what it's doing. The Steelers know what they're doing. So I have no doubt that the business community, political leaders, are going to come together and make this a spectacular event, because when you look at the NFL draft or you look at the NCAA basketball tournament coming to a city, how many times have you ever heard, oh, this is just a mess, what a disaster this was? So I really do have the confidence. I know that Point Park, for example, is looking at, hey, how can we help the city? I think you have a lot of people in Pittsburgh who want to come together, who want to work together to showcase the city, and I can't wait to see what happens over the next couple months.
I think one thing that's going to be pretty cool about it, too, is how many schools are going to be close to it. You got Point Park right there. You got Duquesne right there. Carlos are up the road. Pitt's right up the road in Oakland. I mean, like, there's so many different schools around here that could get involved. A lot of opportunities for students.
There are incredible opportunities, and I'm a little bit biased, but I know the Point Park School of Comm Kids are the best. So
Thank you.
Those are the students that I'm hoping get the opportunity.
Those are the students that
That's us two right here, right now, getting those opportunities.
Okay, that'll be us.
Yes, we'll be at the draft. I know we're like excited for the draft. How is it? It's probably in the early stages, but how is the draft going to interfere with the Point Park community day to day, with classes going on during the day, the traffic flow downtown, just the state of downtown in terms of where we're at over to the North Shore and everything?
Well, I think that remains to be seen, because when you bring in hundreds of thousands and millions of people to a city, Traffic, for example, is going to be different.
Yes.
It's gonna be a train wreck.
Trying to go to lunch
It's going to
is
be
going
like-
to be different. At the same time, Point Parks, maybe I can walk to where the draft will happen in 20 minutes. So there is a little distance between the university and where the draft's going to. So I think we're in a good area. We're going to be close, but not in the epicenter of where it's going to happen. And I have no doubt that the draft's going to be a great thing for Point Park. Might there be some complications? Like a student who's driving to campus may find that 20-minute commute's now taking
Or parking.
45 minutes,
Yep.
or parking may be a little more difficult, but I think it's just going to be a spectacular time for Point Park.
It's going to generate a lot of revenue. Downtown, I mean, Market Square is starting to get that feel. Yes, it's in the early stages, but once it's done, that's going to be a good hangout place because look at all the businesses around. Look at just the state. And that's also going to provide the Port Authority an opportunity to get more routes, to filter some expenses. Is the draft going to mark a legacy for Pittsburgh?
I think so. I think when the draft comes to the city and the city gets national attention and people see it, and Pittsburgh's an incredible city.
For sure.
I mean, when you have three rivers and the tradition of Pittsburgh sports, and people come to Pittsburgh and they get to see the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise, they get to see the NFL, all that history and tradition. I think it's just going to leave an incredible legacy. And my guess is you're going to see Ben Roethlisberger and Terry Bradshaw and Joe Green and these legends of Pittsburgh sports. I think they're going to be a big part of the event going well.
For sure. And you're going to see so many different like influencers in Pittsburgh.
Media outlets.
Media outlets are going to be here, even from out of state. You're going to
Yes.
see so many athletes, celebrities. Like it's gonna
Taylor
be
Swift
big.
coming? She coming for the draft? Anybody know?
Possibility.
We can ask Paul Skeens if Livy's available
Yes.
to
Oh yeah, ask Livy Dunn
Yes.
if Livy's going to be here or
be
not.
part of the draft as well.
That would be great. I want to kind of transition now into some more of the fun questions before we end things off today. This is called Two Jagoffs, unfortunately. Nick, I guess you are the honorary Jagoff. for
I am,
today.
yes.
You are an honorary Jagoff, but the real second Jagoff, Lucas Kuntz, who's actually going to be a student here at Point Park, isn't here, unfortunately. But he likes me to ask this question to practically every guest that comes on. So I wanted to ask you this. What is Bernie's go-to restaurant? Favorite restaurant, favorite meal? We're foodies here on the podcast. We're probably going to grab lunch after this. Nick.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your go-to?
So my wife and I live in Export, Pennsylvania, which is in Westmoreland County. It's about 22 miles to Pittsburgh. There's a good Italian restaurant near there, Olives and Peppers.
I've heard of
Has,
it.
a Penn Trafford and a Greensburg location. Both are really good. And I would tell you, go check it out if you like Italian food. It's special.
Well, I am Italian, so I think I might have to.
Olives
They're-
and peppers. And plus, that's right by your camp, right?
No, my camp's up in Latrobe.
It's not too
Is
far
that not
from
too
it.
far? Not too far from Latrobe, I
Trobe
guess?
and Greensburg are like
Oh, they're right there
by
next to
each
each other.
other.
More of New Alexandria, but yeah, it's okay. It's pretty similar.
Olives
then.
and peppers. There we
Okay,
go.
well, I might have to go next time I go to camp then. Is there a go-to meal that you like to get there, or do you mix things up?
my wife laughs at my lack of mixing.
Oh,
It's the
I'd
same
be
thing.
laughed at too because I'm always at the same thing no matter where I go.
I like Italian food, and sometimes it's spaghetti and meatballs, and sometimes it's lasagna, but not a whole lot of diversity in my meal plans. Couple go-to required dinners.
Okay. Well, Nick, do you have?
Yeah, I was going to say, Barney, what do you think of downtown and all the different businesses? What's your go-to downtown for food? Because we're down here 5 days a week. I'll at least be on campus 5 days a week. I got to start being diversified. We like Home Run Harry's, Tupelo Honey on the south side. It's just right, or Station Square right across the street. What's your go-to downtown?
I have a couple that I'll go to on a regular basis. One is Mama Lucia's, which used to be
Yes.
close to campus.
Okay.
They have a calzone that I like to go there, and they have specials each week, like $6.50 spaghetti and meatballs and $6 I think for lasagna. So it's pretty inexpensive, and I think it's really, really strong. My other option tends to be DeBella's. I like the subs of DeBella's and Market Square.
Yes.
Steak and cheese I think is pretty good. Godfather's pretty good. So it's usually one of those two.
Okay.
Well, I want to end off today's episode, Bernie, asking you one final question.
Yep.
And on to Jagoffs, we also like to do a lot of game shows. And Nick, I'm going to kind of loop you into
Okay.
this as well. We're going to play a little game show to end off today. And we're going to play a game show called STBC. It stands for Start, Trade, Bench, or Cut. I'm going to give you 4 players. You got to start one, you got to trade one, you got to bench one, and you got to cut one. And you mentioned all 4 of these names earlier, so I think this is going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about some legendary Steelers here. I'm going to give you Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, Mean Joe Green, and I'll throw out a wild card, one of my favorites, Franco Harris. Floor is yours. How would you like to do this? And you can put yourself in the mind of the Steelers GM for a second, whatever you think is best for your team.
I watched a documentary on Joe Green the other night.
Okay.
And one of the neat things about Joe Green is no matter who the Steeler interviewed, Franco Harris, Jack Ham, they will say Joe Green was the best player in Pittsburgh Steelers history. That when Joe Green came to Pittsburgh, the franchise changed. And I'll tell you an anecdote. This is long-winded, but I'll tell you an anecdote. Ray Mansfield was the Steelers center at the time, and Joe Green had held out. He wanted more money. He wasn't happy about coming from Texas to Pittsburgh, and at the time, you didn't have much leverage, and he insisted on getting a certain amount of money and terms, and the Steelers finally gave it. Well, the Steelers at the time were a horrible franchise. They lost every year. Chuck Noll had the hardest rebuilding job for a team that I think when Joe Green came here, they had been to one playoff game in 30-some years, and they lost it.
Wow.
Well, Joe Green came here after his holdout, and Ray Mansfield was one of the best players on the team, and he was ticked that this rookie had the audacity to hold out. So they did the Oklahoma drill, and the Oklahoma drill is this old brutal drill from the 1970s, 80s. It's not done a whole lot more, but you had a defensive player who would have to fight off the offensive tackle and then make the tackle on the play. Ray Mansfield talked about how he was going to get this rookie and he was going to show him his place. Joe Green charged at him with one arm, threw him multiple yards, tackled the player, and Jack Ham says that was the moment that the franchise changed. They knew Joe Green was special, so you always got to start Joe Green.
Okay.
No
Love
question.
that. What about the other 3? We got Terry Bradshaw now, Lynn Swann, and Franco Harris. Where are they all going? So one, you're going to start him in this scenario. Who's going to your bench? Who are you trading? Who are you cutting?
I think Lynn Swann was really, really good in the 1970s, 1980s, and had incredible athletic ability, jumping, was so graceful. But of the people you mentioned, I would probably trade or bench Lynn Swann because I think he's a step below some of the other people. Hall of Famer, he wasn't a no-brainer. He wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the people you mentioned are just elite people. So I think Lynn would be the one that I would probably bench or trade.
Okay, so we're going to go more bench or more trade? All 4 of them is going to be in one slot.
I'll trade him.
You'll trade him? Okay, so you got cut and you got bench left. So where's Franco going and where's Bradshaw going?
Well, with Franco, I guess I'll say at the end of his career, the Steelers did actually cut him.
They did.
They did.
When he slowed down. So if you had to cut someone, I guess I would go with Franco. And Terry, as you know, did not come into the NFL right away and thrive. So we can put him on the bench for a year or two.
There we go. There's the scenario. So it's Lynn Swann being traded, Franco being cut, Bradshaw being benched, and Joe Green being started. It's a good one.
Okay.
You agree or you disagree?
I agree, but I'll make a tweak. I will start Bradshaw over Joe.
I don't know. I like Bernie's take right here. I mean, I could kind of see Swan and Franco also being intertwined,
Right.
too. That was the other one that I could kind of see.
Swan, I probably should have, of the guys, probably should have cut him, but
Yeah, I was thinking
I
more
didn't.
cut Swan and trade Franco, but I mean, I don't mind your
Yeah.
list at all. Joe Green got to be started. He's amazing.
No matter what.
He's amazing. Well, Bernie, I just got to say thank you so much for making the time to come on both two Jagoffs and Steel City Commuters today. I know you've both been supporting both me and Nick for a very long time, so we really appreciate that. I'll toss it over to Nick for his final words as well.
Yeah, anytime we can have someone notable on, Bernie Ankney, nobody can compete with Bernie, no matter what. When you have somebody this high at Point Park, a dean of a certain school, it's incredible. And given what you do every day and making time for us, we really do appreciate it. The opportunities that you've given both of us, the amount of responses that you probably give us, the amount of times we contact you for something that we need that can wait, but the attention that you give us is really important. And we couldn't be more excited to be friends, work alongside each other, because you're a vital contact in this industry, given your broadcasting history, your reporting industry, and we couldn't be thankful enough.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but Chris Brusalis, our president's far more important than I am. So while you were very, very kind, there are many, many more important people on the Point Park campus, but I'm still honored to be here today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Bernie, and thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another episode of both Two Jagoffs and Steel City Commuters. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and go follow us both on social media. Until next time, we will see you all in the next one. Peace.